Once again, a blessed Janmashtami to all. And as you know, Shamini and I came from Italy not long ago, and we had attended a whole 2 weeks, very intense, about creativity, talking about creativity and also practicing creativity. And it's not my goal to speak about that today, but how we see we have some of the greatest examples with Swamiji and with Master. I just love some of these whispers from eternity. Like which poet, cosmic poet, wrote about a rocket? A rocket, going to space and bursting and made it all spiritual and all beautiful. And I believe, like, even in some of the poems, Master talks about machine guns and things like that, about how he was able, through his creativity and attunement, to bring God in everything. And of course, I think since World War was going on at those times and all that, he probably sought to spiritualize even those things. But he was totally creative, and we can see it expressed so much even through his poetry. That is not just about, I behold the divine and I fall in love and things like that. He really went wide, far and wide, with even that one particular aspect of his poetry. Now, I was thinking also today, it's fun to see, it's wonderful to see how we all change on the spiritual path. That chant that we did, the last one, "Oh, life is sweet and death a dream," you may notice that we did something different than perhaps I usually do. And it's something Swami Jaya, he would do sometimes. Instead of saying life is sweet and death a dream, you say death is sweet and life a dream. And like that, you reverse the entire thing. And always intellectually I say, yes, that makes sense. Everything is a dream. Sickness, health, everything is really a dream. And I remember I tried to do it once, and somehow I couldn't do it. Because anyway, I still prefer that, even now I prefer that positive aspect of the chant, life is sweet and death a dream, because it calls more to the heart. But Jayaji could do it very nicely, because I think it's probably where he is at. But at some point I felt that, I also could do it. Not that I'm at the point of Jayaji by any degrees, but just to see how through time we change. And these masters help us change. And to also to be true to who we are. I'm not saying anybody should sing this chant that way, unless you feel it from your heart, that you can also do it with meaning, and it's not just something you're doing just because, it's nice philosophically to do so. And like that, we see that more and more changes come into our lives, that, suddenly I feel that this particular aspect of the teaching now resonates finally in my heart. And when it resonates in the heart, then it really becomes our teaching. Master, when he was asked, why is there evil in this world? Why there is that? Why there is sickness? Why there is death? Why there is blame and whatever else and sorrow? And Master would say, well, there always needs to be a villain. But why does it need to be a villain? Because then it inspires people to love the hero. And we have these great masters here who are like the greatest heroes or superheroes, if you want to call them. In this day, I guess we can call them superheroes because there is so many talk about superheroes. They are the greatest superheroes, the greatest ones to inspire us. And we are talking today about Babaji and Krishna, mostly. But even just our own Guru or Swamiji, they, made mistakes in their life. Maybe Master less so, but he's still being in this world. Sometimes he did some things that didn't quite work out. You could call that a mistake, I suppose. I'm sure there was a greater purpose to everything he did. Or sometimes people will have to point out something of the material plane and he will change his mind about something. Same with Swamiji. Master, he fell ill because of taking the karma of other people. Swamiji, same thing. But the thing is that that song was flowing through them. So whether they were in perfect health, whether they were sick, whether they made some mistake, whether people threw lawsuits at them, both Master and Swamiji, it didn't really matter because God's song was flowing through them and they could see that everything was truly a dream. Now, I don't really know much what to talk about Babaji and Krishna because these are so, great masters, but it's so interesting to see in a way the juxtaposition of their lives. In one way we have Krishna, who there are books and books and books written about him. Stories are abundant of his life, what he did, the whole Bhagavad Gita, his discourse to Arjuna in the Bharat. There is so many stories of how he was. His life was, one will say, very outward. He was a king. I mean, from the moment he was a baby, he was persecuted, he was trying to be killed. He was very dramatic, even his birth, as we know. And he had to play a very strong role in this world. We know that in previous incarnations, we don't really know many. In Indian tradition, of course, it says that that same soul was Ram and some of the other avatars. The Master didn't say that. I'm not saying it's true or not. I don't know. But I'm sure he was. Or I believe he at least was. And but he did say he taught in the Bhagavad Gita, he says how he taught Kriya to saints of old like Manu, and he was in the time of Narayan, he was one of them, I always forget which one he was. But he's been very highly active through eons of time. And they have this wonderful life as Krishna, and then we know that he reincarnated as Babaji. That's what our Guru told us. Babaji was the reincarnation of Krishna. And it's kind of totally opposite, isn't it so? There is almost nothing written about Babaji. We don't know when he was born, where he was born, who were his parents. Now, some people claim to know. Some people say that he was born in some certain date. Some people say that he has a village somewhere in the Himalayas that only few people can see and there are yogis meditating there. I don't know. So many people say so many things about Babaji. I just go by what our Guru said. And he said very clearly that Babaji doesn't want details of his life to be known into the world. Some people said that he was born in South India. Probably the South Indians said that he was born in South India. But it really doesn't matter. Master did give us some information saying that it is as much as Babaji wanted us to know, at least as of now. And also, he has such an important role, but it's not a role like Krishna, just going there and, in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, ruling a kingdom and so on. He is the Mahavatar. The Mahavatar, Master explained that he is the one who helps other avatars with their mission. So he is here for the long run. He is here maybe he'll probably be here for thousands of years, still in the same physical body. Whether in the future he will be becoming more active in the world or not, who is to say? Really, we don't know. But we know that at least as of now, he is hidden in the Himalayas. We know that he told Swami Sri Yukteswar, you need to meditate more deeply. Your gaze is not still faultless. You could not see me hiding behind the sunbeams. He told that to Sri Yukteswar, And so we say, oh my God, what about us who, will we ever get to see Babaji? And of course, it really doesn't matter in the end, but he can choose to appear to anyone. In fact, as you know, we are planning to go to Babaji's cave in November. And I don't know if this man will be with us, but there is a man called Mahavir who he was basically working in a hotel as a, helping people with luggage and all that. And one time Babaji appeared to him. He didn't know who he was, but he told him that he will bring devotees to his home, to his cave. And later on, he only realized what all happened, and he has a very strong connection with Babaji. I don't know if he has seen her more or whatever, and it doesn't really matter. But he chose to come to that particular person for a reason. And like that, there's other people, of course, who have seen, and who is to say if he will come to us or not. Much more important, of course, is that we try to pray to him, that we try to feel him. The other time, when we were in the Kriya retreat in Bangalore, we had this Kriya retreat. It was really wonderful because my mind went into this particular train of thoughts. Here we were around 100 Kriya yogis together, gathering, meditating. And this thought very strongly came in my mind. Babaji has to be here too. He's not just there in the Himalayas meditating with 10 people or whoever many and disinterested in the world. Yeah, he's here to guide the saints, but he's also in our midst. Whenever we gather, Jesus said, when 2 or 3 gather in my name, 2 or more gather, or 3 or more gather in my name, there I am with them. There I am with them. It is the same with Babaji. When we gather in his name, when we gather in Kriya, when we gather in Sangha and call his name, even mentally, there he is with us. And I was surprised because that particular moment, I kind of felt that he was there. Whether it was an imagination or not, I don't know. But it did feel that way. Now, the other day with Shamini, we were doing some chants for Krishna Janmashtami. Not that time we were sitting here with all of you. And because some of these chants we don't do very often, what we did, Bhaja Govindam and some other chants, we started making mistakes. As it happens, you practice maybe once a year. And Shaminis is something very fun to me, very interesting. He says, oh, don't worry, it's Krishna Janmashtami. With Krishna, it's okay, you can come like this, it can be a little messy, it doesn't really matter. He is there. That's part of the spirit of Krishna. And if you see Vrindavan, this place, it is a little bit like that, isn't it? So like people are so, it's just pure devotion. Even in the temples, it's not like so much rituals compared to some place perhaps like Varanasi, which is much more ritualistic, and of course there's great devotion also, but there is a lot of contrast between these two places. And I was thinking, well, if Babaji is Krishna, can we not be a little messy with Babaji as well? Somehow we feel because he's in the Himalayas, he's a perfect yogi, he's always meditating, we don't know much about him, that he's far away, that he is only very serious, that he's only, whenever I'm ready and I can meditate like Sri Yukteswar, I will be able to be with him and see him, maybe. Right? But why? If he was able, Master says, and Swamiji say, that the soul comes more or less with the same bhav. So Swamiji said that when he knew Yoganandaji, of course, but when he studied the life of William the Conqueror, for example, and some other saints, he felt like the bhav of Master was the same, even though his expression was different. So the bhav of Babaji must be very similar at that one of Sri Krishna as well. I am not deep enough to, tune in that way and tell you yes, but it has to be. We tend to think of him as being this serious yogi, but I'm sure that he must say some, not jokes per se, he's not going to say, knock, knock, who's there to his disciples, but he's going to probably make some fun remarks, and they're going to have laughter in the cave and all these things. I think we all tend to think, serious like this, and only if I'm serious, he will come to us. But I have found it doesn't come as natural to me to pray to Babaji necessarily, except during Kriya time and all these things that I'm telling you, it is more when I'm more serious. But it has happened that sometimes I do pray to him for silly things. Not because necessarily I want something, but when I'm in a silly mood or asking for something so minor. And somehow I feel that he fulfills those things. And I say, really? It will come to me more naturally to pray to Master about this. In fact, there is, and this shows how bad we can be in our understanding. One time there was a disciple that I think he was in an airplane, and the airplane was having some turbulence. There was something going on that he felt like, oh my God, he was feeling a little nervous. And he started praying to Master to make sure everything is fine. But then he said, no, Master is a little bit of a prankster, so let me not pray to him. Let me pray to Babaji instead. And that sounds kind of sweet, but it's also not true. And in the same way, when serious things I pray to Babaji, silly things I pray to Master or Divine Mother. No, they're all one and the same. They're all there for us. If we think them near, they will be near to us. And I think the main thing we have to take from this is that Babaji, as well as Krishna, they are very close to us. One of the greatest miracles of Krishna is that after thousands of years, people still fall in love with the divine because of him, through him. Babaji will be the same thing. But we have to call to him. We have to remove this obstacle of the mind that separates them, that says, only for this, only for that. He, as we know, and we know in every Kriya ceremony, which I think most of you have been in Kriya ceremonies, we always remind people the words of Babaji that Lahiri Mahashaya gave us. That whoever utters the name of Babaji with reverence, not reference, that disciple will attract an immediate spiritual blessing. And it's worth for us to contemplate, what does it mean to utter the name of Babaji with reverence? Does it mean just in meditation? Does it mean, whenever my mind is completely quiet? Well, maybe some of that is there. Or does it mean when, like with the chant, it's actually coming from my heart? And not just because, Lahiri Mahashaya said so let me just do it because I want Babaji's blessings. And if you take those words seriously, then you see how near he is. Then you see that he really is there with us. He's not just this faraway, removed yogi who is waiting for us to become perfect so that he can show himself to us. He's eager, he's ready. They are eager and ready to be with us. We recently heard a story that I hadn't heard before of Swamiji, how when he was new on the path, he said it was Yukteswar's Mahasamadhi, 9th of March. Yeah, 9th of March. And he wanted to meditate on Sri Yukteswar, have a long meditation, like we all aspire to do these things. But he said that he had worked very hard that day and his body was just not allowing it. He was becoming too sleepy. And at the end he said, well, Sri Yukteswar, I wanted to meditate on you, but my body is just not allowing it. Can you at least come to me in my sleep when I'm more receptive to you? And he went to bed like that. And he said in the middle of the night he woke up. And he woke up hearing the sound of Om and the different tones of the sound of Om. And he knew that was, of course, Yukteswar's blessing. And like that also, it's not that Babaji just will bless us with his physical presence. Again, that's just limiting. We cannot limit any of them to any particular form. But if we pray, we feel the answer, in the form of His presence, in the form of some uplifted feeling, until, yes, we can receive them fully, completely, their consciousness in our consciousness. But don't limit them to this particular way, that particular way. If you pray sincerely to Babaji, with reverence in your heart, He will give you an answer as an inward feeling in the heart.